Hi, this is Dave Meyer of ECI Learning Systems, where we work to eliminate the workplace energy crisis that can drain the energy from your organization. We're back today for our 5th session on the DiSC Behavioral Assessment. And DiSC is one of our favorite tools to use at ECI because it is a model that is both powerful but also easy and simple to use. If you've watched our first few sessions, you probably realize how simple this tool really is and how powerful it is. Now, in our past sessions, we've discussed the basic DiSC model that you see here in front of you. And we talked about what DiSC does measure, behaviors, and what it does not measure. Because DiSC as a tool does not measure a person's intelligence, nor does it measure their value system or their skill sets. So it's very possible to have two personalities who have very closely related DiSC profiles, but are acting differently based on their intelligence, their knowledge, the skills that they have, or their value system. So in DiSC, we like to say that DiSC understands that people are different, but says that in certain key areas they are predictably different. So we talked in our last session about the high I personality, being very active and people-oriented or accepting. So they were called the influencers. Today we're going to focus on the high S personality. Like the high I, they are people-oriented and accepting, but they are much more thoughtful or reserved. Describe them here as being stable, steady, and secure. Other key words you use to describe the high S would be amiable, friendly, patient, sincere. So the high S personality is the most common personality type you find in American society. And these are people who are just kind of salt of the earth. They're naturally relaxed. They're easy to get along with. They enjoy their family. They enjoy playing on part of a team. In fact, the high S is known as a great team player. Unlike the high D or the high I S feels no obsession to try and lead. In fact, the high S really kind of prefers to follow along. So they're great team players. Now, there is a challenge here with the high S in that they have this fear of change. Notice we said they were steady and stable and secure. So they like the status quo. Now, the high S will tell you that they're okay with change as long as they know it's been well thought out and well planned. Well, that's a true statement. The high D and the high I like to make changes, though, without a lot of planning. The high S wants to know that things are going to be okay before they make changes. That sometimes causes some conflict in organizations. And the high S does not really like conflict. So sometimes they will suppress their emotions or hold back their thoughts from the high Ds and high Is around them so as not to create conflict. So that makes them somewhat passive-aggressive. And that can cause some problems sometimes when the high D and high I are trying to lead someplace and the S is not really funnel along as they want to because of the fear of change. Now, other limitations of the high S are that they don't necessarily set challenging goals for themselves. And they need to be externally motivated. The high S, once set to a task, will perform quite well. But on their own, they don't often think of the task themselves to do until directed by the high D or the high I. So they have some natural limitations that hold them back, as do all personality types. And the high S tends to decide things rather slowly and deliberately. They want to gather some facts, information. They want to know that everybody's going to be okay with their decision. They're very worried that things that they could decide could cause problems, and they really don't want to have the challenge of the problems. So what motivates the high S? Well, close personal ties, friendships, family, stability, appreciation. They like things the way they have been done. They like the status quo. So that kind of describes our high S personality. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to this session today about the high S. I hope you'll check back again for future installments of our series on DiSC, and other tutorials as well we'll be doing here. You need to contact me. You can contact us through www.ecilearning.com. And until our next session together, I wish you the very best.